Hey, everybody, and welcome to the UFC 241 Aftermath. What a fucking night of fights. I mean, Saturday night was incredible. There were some great bouts all through the prelims. The main card was fucking outstanding. Great fights on that. Before we hop into the main card and what I think is going to come next for some of these fighters and stuff, I want to talk about two performances on the prelims that really stood out to me. The first being Cory Sandhagen. Cory Sandhagen, ranked number 9 in the world. Don't get me wrong, he was a big favorite going into this fight. There's a lot of hype around this kid. He's very talented, but he goes in and dominates the number 3 ranked bantamweight in the world in Raphael Assuncao. It doesn't just happen by accident. This kid has a lot of promise, and I don't think it'll be that long before you see him challenge him for a title. I think it's inevitable that he holds it someday. It's just a matter of, is he ready now? But I'll tell you what, man, he passed that Raphael Assuncao test with flying colors. You don't do that. Like I said, you don't do that to Assuncao in accident. He's a black belt. And I think a lot of people favored Cory on the feet going into this fight just because of his ability to switch stances. He's so fluid, and I really think when you look at that, that's the future of MMA. I mean, it seems so... As kids start to learn this from a younger age, I'm pretty sure Cory's one of those guys who's like, he's been groomed for this, right? He's been training martial arts for a very long time, and I think that in the future, if you're not able to switch stances fluidly, if you only fight out of one stance, you're going to be severely limited in the ways that you can vary your attacks compared to other people who can do it. So I really think that fighting out of both stances is going to become more common here in a few years, and he's one of the prime examples of... He's kind of a trailblazer. I mean, he just does it. It's like he fights equally well out of both stances. And a lot of the times what you'll see is when you see guys who do switch their stances, they'll oftentimes fight better defensively out of one stance and offensively better out of another stance. So it's more tactical that way, but it's like when Cory switches stances, he's doing it on his entries and he's doing it on his way out, and he's coming back in and sniping you from a different stance than he started the combination. And it's like he's just so fluid and his footwork is perfect. He's never out of position on things. And to top that all off, Raphael Assuncao was a black belt, a high-level black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I think everybody thought that when they got into those exchanges, he was going to have an advantage over Cory. And Cory stood up to everything that Assuncao threw at him, man. I mean, he looked great. He every time they would get into a grappling situation, Cory would reverse it and end up on top, or be able to survive some dangerous spots and quickly escape the position, return to his feet, and start dotting Assuncao back up. I mean, I thought it was a brilliant performance by a kid who still has a lot of room to grow. I mean, this is a kid, he has a lot of potential still. I don't think he's anywhere near what he's fully capable of, and he just beat up on the number 3 guy in the world. I think you're probably going to see him fight a guy like Marlon Moraes next. I wouldn't hate a fight with Aljamain Sterling. I don't know if he's already booked for anything, but I think that would be a good fight. I mean, Cory Sandhagen's the real deal, and I think it's a matter of time before he holds a title. I just think he's also, like, when you look at Cody, who was this promising prospect and held the title, and you find out that Cody's kind of explosive and obviously explosive, right? I mean, he knocks people the fuck out, but when he starts fighting some of these higher level guys, he kind of makes mental mistakes. Kind of gets too committed to things, and what you saw in Cory Sandhagen on Saturday night was just calculated, measured. Everything looked great, man. I thought it was brilliant, especially because he came off kind of, I don't want to call it lackluster, but I don't think the fans enjoyed the fight against John Lineker, which I thought he clearly won that fight as well. But this was dominant, and he got to really display to the fans on ESPN what he's capable of. And he's got a big frame for that division, and that long frame, man, it has so many advantages in fighting because it allows you to create a lot of space on the ground, and it allows you to control distance and keep people at bay and keep tagging them with the end of your punches. And if you can keep them there, that's the game, right? If you can keep them there, it's going to be very hard for them to get inside you and land on anything. And I just think that Cory his understanding of distance and timing is brilliant, and he's one of the more By the way, that 135-pound weight class is a fucking Shark Tank. I think it's the second best division in the UFC behind lightweight. I mean, granted, TJ Dillashaw pops, right? But you got Aljamain Sterling, Marlon Moraes, Henry Cejudo. I mean, there's a bunch of killers up top there, and Cory Sandhagen just welcomed himself into the top 3, so he's going to get a big fight next. And he trains out of Easton. I'm not going to put on a facade like I know the kid, like I've ever talked to him or like I've ever rolled with him or anything, but I've seen him at the gym before, and it's cool to see someone who trains at the same. I'm a white belt, by the way. I don't want to put, like, all the stuff you're getting from me, by the way, is just fans' perspective. Like, I train and I try my best to understand it, and I have respect for the fighters and all that, but don't take anything I say too fucking serious because I don't have any like credentials to back it up. But it's cool to see somebody like that who trains at the same place that you do just kind of exceed and not just exceed, but perform at that level. I mean, that was a high level performance. So I'm very excited to see what the future holds for him.